Hi, everyone. Welcome to 5 Revenue Driving Initiatives for the AI-powered CRO. I'm Brian Swords. I'm really excited to be giving you this discussion on how CROs are actually transforming and driving outcomes with AI. If you've just joined us now, feel free to let us know where you're coming in from. And you can actually see these slides on the media share there. They're up. There's a bunch of links, bunch of tools we're going to be talking through. So it'd be useful for you to have that as a resource. Let's dive right in. So when it comes to AI, the number one question that I get from CROs, I've spoken to over 100 in the last 6 months, including at the CRO Summit for Pavilion in Boston, which I highly recommend. It was an incredible time, is what are the use cases for AI? I'm sure all of you have been getting plenty of messages from AI startups and, of course, your current vendors about their AI capabilities, but there's still a lot of questions about how you can actually use it. So we're going to hit the 5 that are the ones that I've seen over the last 2 years in helping startups from 100 million ARR down to pre-seed actually implement AI in their go-to-market. We're going to talk about prospecting, deal qualification, velocity, prioritization, and reporting. Now, a few of the things that I've learned are really important in this process are that for a CRO, any implementation that we're going to do has to have an impact this quarter. As you know, the bar resets every 90 days for you as a sales leader. So not only are these things that are going to help your revenue organization, but they're going to help you save time, get to the truth, and most importantly, change behavior. Having implemented a bunch of AI tools and initiatives, some of which we built, some of which we helped implement that were tools that were bought, what I was surprised to learn is even if we demonstrated to revenue teams that these tools worked, that they drove positive ROI for other companies like them, and even ran their own experiment and proved for themselves that they worked, the adoption still wasn't necessarily there. They didn't necessarily continue to use those tools and those approaches after the fact. So everything that I'm going to be sharing with you is about how to actually create that change in that day-to-day behavior, because from what I've learned, if you're not changing what salespeople do every day, you're not going to impact revenue. A little bit about myself. I founded my first product company as a teenager. I've worked as a founder, a sales leader. I've been in nearly every role in sales and revenue, and as an AE, in CS, in marketing. And so there's a real comprehensive selection here in terms of these use cases. These will not only help your frontline team members, but they'll help your directors and your leadership team as well. I believe that we should focus on using AI to do the hard things that close deals. I've seen a lot of interesting and fun ways to use AI that look good, but ultimately don't really move the needle. And especially in this current climate, you know that there are things that take a lot of work that ultimately lead to not only better quality pipeline, but ultimately customers that renew and expand with you. So each of these initiatives is designed to help you get to the truth on what's really going to matter in winning the customers that you're going to go for the long term with. You can also see some of these implementations with Pavilion. Pavilion is doing a Build in Public series with us. It's been really exciting. We get technical. We actually walk through their go-to-market motion and customize how AI is helping them. There's a lot of great lessons to be learned there, and you can see some of the outcomes as well. And if you'd like to just see this in action for yourself, some of the things that I'm going to be recommending, shoot an email to our AI at train@drivepipelineai.com. Just email your LinkedIn profile, and you'll get a little bit of an assessment, a little bit of a follow-up. You'll see some of these capabilities in actions. All right, let's jump right in. So, prospecting. What we're looking to do is drive more insight and more responses. I'm going to just level set for a moment. The CRO goals that I've seen around prospecting basically fall in 3 categories. Higher performing SDR functions, getting AEs prospecting again, or doing a better job themselves in networking and branding. And in each of these 3, what I'm about to show you is high impact. For a couple startups, we were able to help them get founding BDRs to exceed quota in just 4 weeks with these techniques. We've helped a team of senior AEs 5x their networks and generate 10 million in net new pipeline. And we've helped founders and leaders 10x their engagement on LinkedIn, especially in less than a quarter. And all of these have been impactful from a revenue perspective. So what is important to understand is that there's kind of a shift happening right now in how prospecting works. Prospecting has really been built around core vendors like ZoomInfo, Apollo, and Seamless, who enrich your CRM data with firmographics and demographics so you can send messages like this. And every CRO that I've talked to has, pulled the lever of flooding their CRM with a ton of contact information and pushing out a ton of outbound, but found that the biggest result they got from that was that their rep productivity plummeted. They got a lot of unqualified deals into the pipeline that didn't go anywhere. And I think that when I've talked with a lot of CROs, the sort of expectation was AI was going to improve this personalization, but pretty much along the same lines. And what I want to show you is that there's a better way. When it comes to, kind of the old school outbound approach or some mixture of inbound, outbound that you might do on top of it, generally speaking, you're out there pitching to buyers who are in market with budget and hoping you get there before the competition, which generally is going to be less than 1% of your total market. So what we want to do is we want to figure out how to actually do the kind of prospecting that successful top performing AEs and SDRs do that win you relationships with customers. Winning by Design has done a great job laying the foundation here, but I've certainly seen this in the data as well. How you prospect actually impacts not only how quickly you close and how much you close, but also what you renew for. And so the techniques we're going to talk about are building on that. If you just put your headset on for a second as a buyer, when you get reached out to, you're getting marketed to all the time. What are you thinking about if you happen to open a message from someone that you suspect is probably trying to prospect you? These are some of the questions that I've seen leaders raise. I certainly think of them myself. And I found that anchoring to some of these topics really helps in leveling up how you approach prospecting. So a prospect is going to be thinking about do they know what success looks like in my role? Are they relevant to what we're talking about internally right now? And are they putting in any kind of effort to build an actual relationship? I would be curious, for those of you that have put in the chat, we've got people from Connecticut, California, Seattle. Welcome, everybody. It's really wonderful to have you. What are some of the questions that go through your mind when people are marketing to you? When you see these messages and you're trying to decide if it's worth your time to reply at all? Great to see, what those questions might be. What I want to show you is how you can actually capture what people say about themselves. The way that I look at this is that the more that you can use language and content that represents the overlap between who you are and who they are, the more effective you can be. And firmographics and demographics don't really give you that information, but there is one place that does, and that is the absolute king when it comes to prospecting right now, LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn because it's the one place you can go where you can see what companies say about themselves in ways that are highly relevant to the building blocks of great messaging. If you're pulling your list from Apollo and you're looking at their category or their position and so on, those are from data vendors who are doing broad-based assessments. When you go to LinkedIn, I'm going to pick on QuotaPath here, a great partner of the Pavilion community. You can actually see how they're thinking about themselves. How do they position themselves to their market? What category do they believe that they're in? And most importantly, how do they think about their value proposition? And LinkedIn has so much information on it right now. This is just a tip of the iceberg. Well, with AI, we can actually we can scrape the whole company profile, their posts, their information, and so on. And AI can actually analyze that and use it. And it's pretty great. Not only can you do it from a company perspective, but you can do it from an individual perspective. I have been experimenting with LinkedIn automation for over 12 years. I've worked with 7 outbound firms and almost a dozen tools, and there are some great ones out there. I'm going to introduce you to my absolute favorite, but the effectiveness of automation in LinkedIn boils down to, are you connecting on these 3 points? People are telling you in their profile what they care about, what were the wins that mattered for their career, and what they want to talk about. And they might be doing that in their post, their about page, or their experience, but ultimately you've got gold in these profiles. And of course, your top performing SDRs and AEs are already going in and looking at this information and kind of loading up into their brain. But human memory being what it is, it doesn't live there for very long. What you can do instead is take all that information and actually boil it down and personalize in one sentence. So let's talk about the foundation, and then we'll talk about how to take action. Clay.com, if you've heard about it, it's getting a lot of buzz right now. I was fortunate to work with this team in their very first year of launching. This is an amazing tool. It's inexpensive. It's something your RevOps team can implement easily. Really, it's something you could even learn if you're in a kind of a 0 to 1 situation. You can pull from every imaginable data source you can think of now with Clay. But this is the fastest and easiest way to scrape this data and get into your CRM. I would tell you that if you just curate the top 10% of your pipeline and go scrape those profiles and get them into your LinkedIn, you will be blown away by how much easier and more effective it is to build AI workflows on top of that. So I'm talking about this foundation because every other use case that I'm going to give you is actually building on this information. All right, so let's get right into what it looks like to actually use it. Sales Navigator is where you're going to be spending most of your time. And I encourage you to use keyword searches in Sales Navigator. Again, get past that firmographic demographic label. What are some phrases? What are some ideas that are indicators that you're talking to a potential prospective customer? And then use this tool, Buzz AI. Buzz AI is basically a wrapper on top of LinkedIn. It's like the CRM we always wanted LinkedIn to be. And you can actually just drop that Sales Navigator search right in there and then build a set of steps of interactions. Now, you notice I don't have some 24 chain of interactions, and I'm also not dropping my pitch to anyone. What I'm doing here is 3 things that I have proven time and time again for myself and others really work. Number 1, send a connection request without a text message. Why? Because people will go look at your profile. That's the best way to convert. It's the highest way to convert when you're sending a connection request. Remember that what people are on LinkedIn to do is build their network. Approach it that way. The next thing I do is I send that highly personalized sentence, usually a question specific to the topic or area of interest that they might have with the CRM data that you've got. Easy to zero that in. And then send some kind of an offer, something that is easy for people to say yes to that's going to benefit them. It might be a benchmark survey. It might be some new insight. It may be a video, but don't pitch, provide value. The way I like to frame it is, we've all been to conferences and learned that if you just run around pitching everyone, you don't get much. But if you approach people with curiosity, you learn about them and you build a relationship, the opportunity is there. And often people ask me for a meeting once I've gone through these steps. So this is a very simplified process, but it works really well. And the nice thing about Buzz is it's got that inbox right in Buzz. So you can actually keep track of all of these interactions as they happen. I routinely get over 40% reply rates, and my clients have gotten 60 to 70% reply rates this way as well. So I'm just going to drop a link in here. If you want to try Buzz out, I offer a free training. And the reason I'm leading with this is that this is the fastest, highest impact thing you can do with AI in terms of both pipeline activation and quality. It's really integrating social selling. The best social sellers that I know are spending about 2 hours a day on LinkedIn and doing all of the things that I just outlined, and they work and they drive pipeline. With these tools, you can cut that down to less than 20 minutes a day. So this is something that executives can do to build your network, support with executive sponsorship, and also just get more insight. One of the things I love about this approach is you get into real conversations. So you actually learn from the market as well as, build that engagement, those relationships, and those brands. All right. We're about at the 5-minute mark here. So we're going to go through everything else, and you're going to see how this all builds on this data and information in this approach. I really recommend that you qualify with what your prospects actually say. The old school method of probability around stage qualification just doesn't make sense anymore. The market conditions have changed so radically in the last 3 years that nothing that's showing up in our reports from 2 years or last year is really that predictive of what's going to happen next year. And so what I'm seeing is stage qualifications actually getting aligned to account plans. Did we check these boxes as a part of the account planning process and then move it forward? Well, that relies on AEs taking notes in Salesforce and SDRs taking notes in Salesforce. And you all know that some of your top performers are going to make that happen regularly, but it's not going to be consistent. This is a little bit of a blurry snapshot, but you get the picture. This is AI literally taking an account planning strategy, analyzing call transcriptions, and writing the updates based on the calls on an ongoing basis. Imagine you and your CFO are talking about your deal forecast and you want to double click into a deal. Is this deal going to push? Is this deal going to close? And you can actually see on a block by block basis what the conversations are. This is a game changer in coaching. It's a game changer in forecasting quality and clarity. And it really also sets the foundation for you to begin to do the kind of analysis that lets you know that what's talked about on the calls is predictive of what actually happens and how to build on that. This is also a gold mine for your marketing and CS team in terms of the things that prospects are coming into, want to talk about and want to learn, or maybe are surprised by that they learn. So really powerful to get your call transcriptions processed and into your CRM. One of my number one recommendations. My favorite tool for this is Copy.ai. Copy.ai is a dedicated go-to-market AI workflow tool. For those of you that are familiar with like Zapier, think Zapier, but for AI. And you can see right here, one of those workflows, extract medic for sales transcripts. You can do this with just about any framework that you might have. We're doing this with Pavilion right now. We've used Copy.ai, Zapier, and HubSpot to pull that data in together. But these workflows allow you to build prompt engineering at every step. Most CROs that I know are familiar with ChatGPT. They've been using AI in some way, shape, or form. But your sense of what AI can do will radically change when you use a tool like Copy.ai, because you can do what's called prompt chaining. You can actually iterate through most items. Is Copy.ai mainly for text? No, exactly. Wouldn't you know? Kyle Coleman's speaking later, and I highly recommend you go check it out. No, it's not just for text. You can actually scrape LinkedIn with Copy.ai. You can scrape websites. You can use PDFs. You can analyze decks. All kinds of great things you can do. You can analyze SEC, 10Ks and so on. So it's a really great tool in that regard. Most of you know Gong and Zoom, by the way, for call recording and transcriptions. Everyone's doing it. If it's something kind of new for you, Grain is a really low-cost solution you can use. Ebsta is a favorite, great Pavilion partner, and they've actually solved this problem for you. If you sign up for Ebsta, they do call recording and transcription and mapping to your CRM right into Salesforce really easily. So there's some great tools out there that you can do. Once you've got your call transcriptions into your CRM and your LinkedIn, you can now build call prep and follow-up. Look, time kills all deals. We know that. And what we've done at Pavilion is we've taken all of the engagement that users might have on the website. So we've taken an inbound process that becomes an outbound process, combined it with that information, and produced these call prep scripts that drop to the reps right before the call in Slack. If you want to change salespeople's behavior, what I've learned is do it at the time they're thinking of it. So whether it's an email or a Slack message, you can synthesize all this call prep data, but this is 100% written by AI. I'll just call out, one item here. So potential benefits is something this AI is synthesizing. Connect with other founders, CEOs, and talent HR leaders, building future of work solutions. That future of work solutions, that comes right from that profile of that particular individual. So again, if you're using the language that people use to talk about themselves, using AI to then connect that with what you do, you can really be extremely targeted. You can get deeper, you can get faster. We're all bored of open-ended, generic discovery questions. This is how you can equip your sales team to get right to the heart of something that your prospects really want to talk about. And all of these things now add up to lead scoring and prioritization. What I've seen with lead scoring with a lot of tools is that they tend to be formulaic. With AI, you can actually do per rep, per category scoring, and you can ingest all of these data sources: LinkedIn, call transcription, marketing, and email. And you can even ingest the insights that you get from models like winning by design, things that you learn downstream, things that you learn from construction rate. You can ingest all of that and get up to the minute lead scoring. So what I encourage you to do, use these AI workflows, go through all those items. I'll just give you a quick preview here of what this actually looks like. So in Copy.ai, here you can see this is the prompt. Here's the chaining. and you can build, each of these workflows and tweak each of these assessments on a step-by-step basis, so you can really get truly tailored to your overall site. So I know we're at time here. I'll just wrap up with this. I like to pull all of these reports into a tool called Coda. Coda's got an amazing AI. They just did a deal with Snowflake called Coda Brain, where they can take all this data, organize it for you, and by doing that, you can get really granular insights on your reps, much more productive one-ones, much more insightful end of month and end of quarter reports. So there's a lot of tools out there that you can use. There's a lot of ways to orchestrate them. When it comes to the build versus buy, here's what I have to tell you. It's more important for you to use AI to help you finally do the things that you are constantly talking to your team about doing more of than it is to just layer a little bit more automation, a little bit more blasting. The more effective you can be at building a quality pipeline that can actually close, that you can actually assess and learn, the more you as a revenue organization become a resource to the whole company on where buyers' minds are actually at and what it will actually take for your reps to perform better. So again, the slides are right up there. If you can click on any of these links to jump in, feel free to do a free AI coaching session with me or shoot that email and I'll give you an example of it as well. Really great to be here. Thank you all for the time. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your Pavilion Palooza. Welcome, guys. Cheers. Great having you.